For privacy reasons, real names in this story have been changed. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah was the type of person many considered ordinary. I lived on the outskirts of Portland, worked as an administrative assistant at a small company, and led a predictable life. His days started early, always with a strong coffee and the same feeling in his chest, a silent tightness, as if something was constantly out of place. But she didn't know what. At 32, Sarah had already experienced a little of everything. Troubled relationships, jobs that seemed promising but ended the same way, with her feeling invisible, rejected, small. And the strangest thing was that, even when everything apparently went well, something appeared to sabotage the moment. An unforeseen event, a loss, a suffocating feeling that happiness was not a place where she could live, just visit from time to time. Inside, she carried a tiredness that didn't just come from her body, but from her soul. What am I doing wrong? Was the question he repeated in the silence of his thoughts. I had already read self-help books, watched videos about positivity, made goal maps, visualization collages, and even written gratitude phrases in the mirror. But nothing seemed to last. It was as if the universe ignored her, or worse, grounded her. Sometimes, when she saw other people achieving things that seemed so far away to her, Sarah felt a mixture of envy and hopelessness. Was I born with some kind of invisible blockage? He wondered. He began to doubt his own abilities. Your own luck. From the light itself. But everything started to change when she did something simple, and, at the same time, radical. And it was at that moment, at that very moment when she took a different internal step, that reality seemed to open like a broken dam. But what came wasn't what she expected. Have you ever felt this way too? Like you're living in an invisible cycle that doesn't change no matter how hard you try? Have you ever had the feeling of being sabotaged by something you can't even name? Write here in the comments with the word me if you have ever felt this way, because this story could be yours too. Watch this video until the end, because what happened to Sarah can change your perception of reality. And if this content has already touched something inside you, leave a like now and subscribe to the channel. This helps spread this type of message to those who are also looking for answers. And trust, what comes next will surprise you. Sarah had started to notice little signs, things that she would previously have ignored, like waking up with a slight sense of peace, or seeing someone smiling at her on the street for no apparent reason, now seemed to carry a different message. It was as if reality was trying to talk to her. And for the first time, she decided to listen. It all started on an ordinary morning. Sarah was at home, with a cup of tea in her hand, looking out the window without thinking about anything. But something inside her changed in that instant. She couldn't explain it, but she felt a sudden urge to get rid of old things. And it wasn't just about old clothes or papers. It was about memories, words spoken that still hurt, wounds that she thought had already healed, but that, deep down, were still open. She spent that entire day in silence. I didn't feel the need to talk to anyone. I just listened. The sound of rain, the crackling of wood, the heart itself. And the more she calmed down, the more she felt a different presence in the air, as if she had finally tuned into a frequency that had always been there, but that she was only now able to access. In the following days, the coincidences began. A book she had kept for years fell from the shelf. The page that opened talked about releasing the past to make room for the new. A friend she hadn't seen in a while called out of the blue and said she dreamed about her being discovered by someone important. An unknown lady stopped next to her in the grocery store and said, "You have a sparkle in your eyes that I haven't seen in a while. Keep it up." Sarah didn't know what that meant, but there was something different about her. A more whole, firmer kind of presence. She stopped trying to force results. He stopped seeking approval. He stopped hiding. He began to walk more lightly. And suddenly, what she wanted so much began to appear. First, it was a job offer that seemed impossible, a position at a company she had admired for years, with a salary she would never have dared to imagine. Then, invitations to speak, write, be seen. People wanted to hear what she had to say. The money started to arrive. And with it, a new home, new possibilities, new choices. It was as if the universe had, in fact, heard and responded. All at the same time. She felt gratitude. I cried with emotion. But there was also a knot in my stomach. A subtle fear. Because no matter how much she had dreamed about it, a part of her still didn't believe it was real. Or worse, what was weather? Sometimes she found herself waiting for everything to fall apart. as if he didn't deserve it so much, as if he was just borrowing that new life. And it was at this point that the unexpected happened. Because when you raise your frequency, the universe responds, but not always in the way you imagine. And what came next, for Sarah, was so fast and so strong that she wasn't prepared. Have you ever wanted something so much that when it finally happened, it scared you? Not because it was bad, but because it seemed too big, almost as if life is testing you, silently asking, "Are you really ready for this?" It was exactly like that with Sarah. The same woman who had spent years waiting for her chance now found herself faced with everything she had asked for and felt like running away. She tried to convince herself that this was just the penny dropping, a normal adaptation process. But inside, I knew it was more than that. It was as if each achievement brought, along with relief, a shadow, a doubt, an old voice, muffled for so long, but now whispering again. Are you sure you deserve all this? What if it's temporary? What if it's just luck? Sarah didn't respond. I just felt it. And maybe you've also been through something similar. Maybe you broke patterns, made affirmations, visualized your ideal life night after night, believing with all your heart. And suddenly, it arrives. But along with the dream comes panic. Because it's not enough to demonstrate. You need to support what you have manifested. You need to become someone compatible with that. And no one teaches that. Sarah would wake up in the middle of the night with her heart racing. There was no apparent reason. No new problems. No urgent emails. Nothing real. But inside her, something trembled. As if your internal system was trying to adjust to a new frequency. And this was causing a kind of energy fever. She cried without knowing why. He was moved by simple things. And at the same time, I felt an exhaustion that was not physical, but vibrational. Have you ever felt this? A feeling of living something you always wanted, but as if you didn't have enough internal structure to deal with the abundance that arrived? It's as if the old version of you is being pushed out, but is still trying to resist. And the conflict between who you were and who you are becoming would make you tremble. Sarah began to realize that things were moving too quickly. Opportunities continued to arise. Invitations multiplied. People praised, sought, trusted. But she still looked in the mirror and saw the same woman as before. The one who carried doubts, fears, and, above all, a subtle guilt for finally experiencing something good. It was as if, on some level, she believed she couldn't just be happy, not for so long, not so easily. And this is where a lot of people get lost. Because the universe can give you everything. But if your vibration is still stuck in pain, in effort, in survival, you yourself sabotage the miracle. Sarah was in the middle of this silent battlefield between what she wanted to live for and what she still believed she was. And it was when this internal conflict reached its peak that something began to fall apart. Not on the outside, but inside. The law of vibration teaches that you do not attract what you want. You attract what vibrates, what sustains internally without effort. Sarah had raised her frequency enough to call whatever she wanted to her. But there was something she still didn't know. It's not enough to vibrate loudly for a few moments. What really sustains the new reality is your stable energetic field. And here comes another law, often ignored by those who study manifestation, the law of correspondence. This law says, as inside, so outside. In other words, what is happening around you is not just a response to what you feel for a few minutes while meditating. It is a deep reflection of what you believe you are. And Sarah, even surrounded by achievements, still internally carried the identity of scarcity, struggle, extreme effort. The universe made no mistake in delivering all that. He just responded accurately. She responded to the frequency that said, "I'm ready for more." But inside, she still whispered, "I don't know how to deal with this." It's like asking for rain after years of drought and receiving a storm. The field is so dry that it doesn't absorb it. Instead of nourishing, the water floods. Sarah attracted the new, but the old one still lived in it. His nervous system, accustomed to operating on constant alert, did not know how to relax in the presence of abundance. She had spent so much time preparing to conquer that she never learned to maintain. And this happens to a lot of people. The desire is sincere. The visualization is intense. The vibration rises. But the internal structure is still connected to an old self, which does not believe, which doubts, which expects the fall. The universe does not punish. He doesn't punish, but he is necessary. And sometimes, that precision can feel brutal, because it doesn't just deliver what you want. He delivers what you are ready to deal with. And Sarah, without realizing it, was sending mixed signals. On the outside, gratitude. Inside, fear. On the outside, celebration. Inside, exhaustion. And the universe, like a quantum mirror, returned exactly this duality. It intensified everything. It brought more opportunities, more attention, more movement. But it also brought more testing, more pressures, more mirrors. And when that happens, you're not being punished. It is being shown. Shown where it still hurts. We're still missing. Where there is still a part of you that needs to be welcomed before sustaining what you asked for. Sarah was experiencing the paradox of manifestation, attracting the new, but still vibrating in the old. Like trying to plant a new tree in soil that has never really been cleaned. The seed is good, the desire is strong, but the land still carries remnants of scarcity, fear, protection. This is the point where many give up, because they think, nothing works for me, when in fact it is working too well, but so fast, so intense, that it reveals everything that still needs to be realigned inside. And that's what started to happen to Sarah. It was not the end of the demonstration. It was just the beginning of an even deeper truth that she would have to face. Because sometimes what you asked for comes along with everything you need to transform to keep it. Sarah almost destroyed everything. There was one day in particular when she went into the bathroom of her new apartment, locked herself in, sat on the cold tile floor, and cried as if she were losing everything. And, in a way, that was exactly what she felt, an invisible loss. Not about what she had achieved, but about the version of herself that had always lived in survival mode. That part that knew how to act when it was without money, without support, without answers. But now that everything was finally within her reach, she felt without a map. No identity. It was as if his soul said, "You asked for this, but have you become the one who can live this?" She thought about giving up. In truth, he thought about refusing the new invitations, returning the apartment keys, canceling everything. She thought about disappearing for a few days, escaping the pressure of being seen, heard, celebrated. Because that hurt. And that was the part no one understands about manifesting. Sometimes what arrives hurts. Not because it's bad, but because it forces the soul to grow. And growth is not always light. Sarah was at that exact point, between collapse and surrender. But it was there, in that moment of internal fall, that something changed. She took a deep breath. For the first time in weeks, he truly breathed. And instead of running from fear, she sat with him. He observed the pain, without judging it. He closed his eyes and listened to his own breathing as if listening to an ancient secret. And then he realized, none of that was coming against her. All of that was just energy trying to reorganize itself. What she felt was not failure. It was expansion. Sarah decided, right then and there, to do something different. He began to take care of what really supported his reality, his own body, his own nervous system, his own thoughts. He stopped just repeating affirmations and started to feel, authentically, the security he wanted to experience. He started waking up earlier, not out of obligation, but to listen to himself. He meditated in silence. Write down your emotions. He accepted the shadows without rushing to get rid of them. And that changed everything. Because when she stopped resisting, her vibration anchored. He began to receive it lightly. The work flowed. Connections became more natural. The money came without the same anxiety. And for the first time, she felt, this is mine. Not borrowed. Not temporary. Mine. Because now she didn't just ask. She maintained. And that's what almost no one talks about manifestation. It's not just about calling. It's about bear what you called. The universe does not deliver dreams wrapped in rainbows. He delivers in grow boxes. Test. In truth, Sarah almost ran away. He almost returned to the familiar, to the room of pain. But something in her chose to stay, to grow, expand. She understood that manifesting was not just the act of bringing something into reality. It was the act of becoming the version of herself capable of living that fully. And it was exactly when she did that the real miracle began. And now tell me, where in Sarah's story did you see yourself? If at any point in this video something inside you awakened, write the word in the comments ready. Because this simple word can be your first step towards anchoring what you have been asking for so long. If this story touched your soul, leave a like now and subscribe to the channel here. This helps this message reach more people who, like you, are in transition, out of pain and into worthiness. And get ready, because in the next episode you will learn about the case of a woman who expressed the love of her life, but continued to sabotage that love without understanding why. What she discovered could open wounds and heal everything at once. It's a story that will change what you believe about relationships, worthiness, and vibrancy. See you there.